the most spectacular, completely overpowered creature currently roaming the Earth. I'm talking about the peacock mantis shrimp.
Okay, let's dive into this. What 6-inch creature hits harder than a bullet? We're talking about an animal roughly the size of your smartphone. It spends its time living quietly at the bottom of the ocean, tucked away in coral reefs and burrows, looking like an unassuming, brightly colored little lobster. Yet, it possesses a physical strike that rivals the sheer ballistic power of human-made firearms. I mean, it almost sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? How could something so incredibly tiny, something you could easily hold in the palm of your hand, possibly generate the concussive force necessary to be compared to a speeding bullet? Well, that is the paradox of the mantis shrimp.
If we were doing a forensic breakdown of the ultimate biological weapon, this is exactly what the incident report would look like. The sheer, jaw-dropping destruction this little animal causes is literally the stuff of legend among marine biologists and aquarium owners alike. It shatters thick aquarium glass with a single devastating blow. It splits heavily armored crabs, creatures specifically evolved to survive crushing ocean depths, completely in half. And honestly, the craziest part, this strike happens in the literal blink of an eye. In fact, it's so extraordinarily fast that the human eye cannot even perceive the movement. Scientists were absolutely baffled by the destruction left in its wake. They actually had to use specialized ultra-high-speed cameras operating at thousands of frames per second just to slow the footage down enough to see exactly what this tiny menace was doing. So, to truly understand this creature, we have to shift our perspective a bit. We kind of have to treat it almost like we're analyzing a totally overpowered RPG video game character build. Let's break down the raw stats behind these unbelievable physical capabilities. If nature actually had cheat codes, it's abundantly clear the mantis shrimp is using every single one of them. Evolution has essentially maxed out this animal's offensive capabilities, pouring every available skill point into sheer speed and devastating damage output. When marine biologists look at the mechanics of this creature, they aren't just looking at biology anymore. They're looking at cutting-edge biomechanical engineering, stuff that human scientists are actively trying to replicate right now for modern military and industrial armor. Okay, here's the first game-breaking stat you need to know. 50. The mantis shrimp possesses a highly modified raptorial claw, and when it unleashes a strike against its prey, that appendage accelerates to an incredible speed of up to 50 miles per hour. Let me repeat that because context is absolutely crucial here. 50 miles per hour underwater. Now, 50 miles per hour on land is incredibly fast, but underwater, the dynamic changes entirely because of drag. Try swinging your arm as fast as you can underwater in a swimming pool. The resistance is immense, right? It feels heavy and super slow. Now imagine fighting through that exact same immense water density, but swinging your arm at highway speeds. That's the level of physics-defying speed we're talking about here. It stands as one of the fastest strikes in the entire animal kingdom. And naturally, with that kind of extreme velocity comes absolute devastation. 1,500, that's the amount of newtons of force generated by this high-speed strike. The kinetic energy transfer here is simply mind-boggling. To give you a relatable anchor for what 1,500 newtons actually feels like, imagine a 330-pound weight being instantly dropped right onto your foot. Ouch, right? Now compress all of that massive, crushing force into a pinpoint impact zone roughly the size of a pea. That's what the prey experiences. It slams into its target with this massive concussive power, turning what looks like a tiny, colorful crustacean into an unstoppable force of nature. It hits so fast and so hard that the water around its claw literally boils. It creates a cavitation bubble and a shockwave that can stun or kill prey, even if the shrimp happens to miss the actual punch. I mean, no way, right? But it's absolutely true. And this brilliantly illustrates what all that speed and force actually means in the real world. You know, numbers on a page are one thing, but when scientists actively measured the impact of the mantis shrimp's raptorial claw, they found it is directly comparable to the physical impact of a .22 caliber bullet. So the crucial point here is this vibrant 6-inch ocean dweller is walking around with the equivalent of a loaded firearm attached to its body. Just think about how insane that is. It's the ultimate synthesis of speed and massive biological force. It's essentially carrying a biological handgun cocked and ready to fire at a moment's notice. It completely redefines what we consider to be a top-tier predator, proving for sure that you don't need sharp fangs or massive jaws when you can literally punch straight through solid bone. But hey, the physical brawn is only half the story. If we shift from its offensive stats to its biological sensory skill tree, we realize it's not just a brute force weapon swinging wildly in the dark. In fact, its eyes are arguably even more famous in the scientific community than its fists. It's equipped with sensory superpowers that perfectly complement its ballistic might, creating an incredibly lethal combination. Imagine giving a high-powered sniper rifle to someone with superhuman eyesight. That's essentially what evolution has done here. To deliver a strike that fast and that powerful without missing, the mantis shrimp requires a targeting system that's just as advanced as its weapon. And boy, did nature deliver on that front.
Chief among those sensory powers is trinocular vision. This is an absolute biological marvel. Let's break this down simply. Humans have binocular vision, meaning our two eyes work perfectly together to create depth perception. But a single mantis shrimp eye, it has 3 separate focal points. That means they have trinocular vision in just one eyeball. They can perceive perfect depth and distance with just one eye tied behind their back. On top of that, while humans have 3 color receptive cones, the mantis shrimp has up to 16. 16! They can see a spectrum of colors, including ultraviolet and polarized light, that are entirely unimaginable to the human brain. We physically cannot comprehend the vibrant, glowing world they see. This highly advanced sight provides them with a massive evolutionary advantage, allowing them to perfectly target their prey's weakest points with pinpoint laser-like precision.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this apex predator actually comes in 2 distinct evolutionary combat classes. Returning to our video game analogy, it's essentially a dual weapon spec. It's as if nature offered 2 entirely different loadouts depending on the hunting strategy required by their specific environment. The mantis shrimp family isn't just a one-trick pony. Depending on whether they evolve to hunt hard-shelled prey in the rubble or soft-bodied prey out in the open sand, their primary weapon, that hyper-fast raptorial claw, developed in 2 very distinct, highly specialized directions. Let's explore exactly how these 2 lethal classes operate out in the wild.
So let's contrast these 2 specific loadouts. On one hand, you have the Smasher. This is the fear-bringing, bullet-punching club we've primarily been talking about so far. It acts exactly like a heavy-duty nutcracker, specifically engineered for devastating blunt force trauma. Its sole purpose is to completely obliterate the thick, calcified shells of snails, clams, and armored crabs, just smashing through their defenses like glass. On the other hand, you have the Spearer. Instead of a dense club, this variation uses a terrifyingly sharp, lightning-fast spear equipped with barbed spikes. The Spearer acts more like an ambush assassin. When a slippery, fast-moving fish swims by, the spear shoots out of the sand, instantly impaling the fish and using those nasty barbs to ensure there is 0 chance of escape. Both types offer a massive strategic advantage, proving brilliantly lethal in their respective domains.
Despite our modern technology and all of our advanced biomechanical modeling, here is the absolute wildest part of the whole shebang. Scientists still can't fully explain it. The exact mechanics of this biological marvel continue to baffle researchers. Like, how does a 6-inch creature process a spectrum of unimaginable colors with such a tiny brain? How does it repeatedly fire off a bullet-speed punch that literally boils the water around it, all without instantly shattering its own arm into a million pieces? It completely defies logic, and it leaves us with a profound, almost hauntingly provocative question to end on. If this completely overpowered physics-breaking marvel is scuttling around the coral reefs right now, what other untapped mysteries and unbelievable secrets are currently hiding out there in the dark, unexplored depths of our oceans?